Hello and welcome to the News Text with me, Julden Jaisware. Many thanks indeed for joining us. And now the news in detail. It was about 6 months ago that the leader of the United Democratic Party, lawyer Ousainou Darboe, accused the Barrow-led government of making plans to start rigging elections by allowing people from neighboring Senegal to register. The controversial claim has raised concerns among Gambians ahead of the national voter registration process that commenced on Saturday. For Bintu Kamara, a UDP agent attached at the Latrikunda Sabiji Kastul petrol station, Voter Registration Center said they have already started detecting malpractices in the voter registration process. Fatoumata Kasim tells us more of that in this report.
Voter registration is a fundamental element of the electoral process. It is that which enables a citizen of a particular country to exercise the freedom of electing their leaders. To be able to do that, one has to show willingness to have his or her name inserted in the voter register, and after completing the process, a voting card is issued. To Bintu Kamara, one of the difficulties they are encountering as agents is the malpractice in voter registration process.
We are encountering difficulties here because we caught a foreigner here who was issued a voter's card, and that is not right. The election is meant for only the Gambian citizens. You should not vote in your country and also want to vote in someone else's country. That's an offense, and that's above the law. This is one of the problems we are facing here.
However, Fatou Silla, the representative of the National People's Party, contradicted that claim, saying everything was going well, but quick to acknowledge that the only problem they faced was a man that brought a forged Alcalo document. According to her, the man was asked to go back and bring the original document. If not, he won't be allowed. She said they are going to sensitize their communities about the voter registration.
Each
party is doing their work because we are going to each compound to sensitize both the youth and all about voter registration. Even though we are agents, we still call our people to come and get their voters' cards. I am here supervising. If I don't see anyone I know, I will pick up my phone and call to remind them about the registration. For me, I am doing my work as expected.
Fatou Mboj, one of the applicants, said even though the process is slow, it is worth the wait. She urged Gambians to come out in their large numbers to register, as their vote is their voice.
As we always emphasize that every Gambian should put the nation first. Even though we have other engagements, we should prioritize Gambia. We are asking all Gambians to step out of their houses and come out and register to show their patrioticness, because our vote is our voice.
The Independent Electoral Commission started registration to issue eligible Gambians with voters' card on the 29th of May and is expected to end on the 11th July 2021. The IEC said all applicants must have or will have attained the age of 18 by 4th December 2021 and must not be disqualified or disentitled from being registered or voting under any law. For iAfrica News, I am Fatoumata Kasim.
Egypt has lifted the restrictions imposed to cope the spread of the coronavirus pandemic, including easing the early closure of shops and restaurants. Although the move will help boost businesses, some Egyptians are worried that easing the restrictions will further spread the coronavirus. Egypt registered more than 2,263,000 cases of the virus and 15,136 deaths. Details of that in this report.
Mina Fedi came to work very excited. He set up his display area knowing that he's finally being allowed to open his kiosk for more hours. Thanks to the new government COVID-19 measures, Mina can keep selling until 1 o'clock after midnight.
The news made me happy. It's a very good decision. To me, that's more beneficial. I can work for 4 more hours every day. I used to shut down at 9 every night. To stay until after midnight, it's almost a full day. The pandemic slowed down work. He didn't have many customers. Even the streets had few people.
Egypt is easing its pandemic control measures ahead of the summer break. It's opening public beaches and parks. The government has also announced that it has vaccinated all staff working in hotels and other hospitality services. All these measures are aimed at making people feel safe to travel domestically during the holidays.
Our kids have been frustrated. They don't go to schools, no clubs, or open areas are available. A lot of people work in beaches and restaurants. They would have become unemployed. This opening up is so much better, so long as everyone keeps abiding to personal safety measures. No matter what the government enforces, it won't be successful unless each one of us keeps safe.
I've been planning to take my family for a beach vacation. I've been waiting for the beaches to open. I'll head to Alexandria. My whole family will join this year. We've been deprived of the weekend outings. I'm happy life is coming back to normal.
While the government's new COVID-19 measures have been widely celebrated in the country, some Egyptians fear that opening up the country could once again bring up daily infection rates.
I want the government to cancel these decisions. This is not a solution to limit infections. The step could reverse our recovery trend. It doesn't matter. 11 p.m. from 1 a.m. Viruses don't abide by a time schedule. The curfew must continue. I will keep trying to control my behavior and my household. I will stay away from gatherings. I am not going to the beaches this year.
Indoor activities are still restricted. Theaters and restaurants can only serve 50% of their usual capacities. Religious events, weddings, funerals, and conferences remain banned.
Now, rising unemployment rate is a global phenomenon that has not spared both developed and developing countries. However, the level of unemployment in Nigeria has become a source of concern for many Nigerians. Every year, thousands of Nigerian students graduate from tertiary institutions without any provision made for their absorption into any of the nation's sectors, resulting them to engage in criminal activities. The country's National Bureau of Statistics indicated that unemployment rate rose to 27.1% in 2020 to 32.5% in 2021. Detail of that in this report.
Mudi Madanjuma is a graduate of environmental engineering. He has been unemployed since he got his university degree 11 years ago. He now earns $20 a month teaching primary school children and says it's frustrating.
You see, that one was underemployed or not employed, but never, hardly would you once say I really had a satisfactory job based on what I targeted.
Millions of young Nigerians like Mudima are unemployed. The country's Bureau of Statistics puts the unemployment rate at 32.5% in 2021. It's a leap from 27.1% in the previous year.
You know, when the society fails to provide the necessary infrastructure, so they create ways with which they can be able to make ends meet for them.
Mudi Madanjuma says some young people have been tempted to join criminal gangs.
The youths specifically are into banditry, kidnapping, doing one form of negative vice or the other. And then it's really paying. People are cashing out, making money, living life as good as it can be.
Both young and old people have been victims of crimes such as robbery and kidnapping for ransom in Nigeria. States in the country's north such as Kaduna, Niger, Zamfara and Katsina have been badly hit by such incidents. Governors of the state say that apart from efforts by federal authorities to protect lives and property, a consistent regional approach to insecurity is also needed. But Mudima says other young people like him are determined not to break the law. He attributes that attitude to a good upbringing and the hope that things might get better.
There are a lot of expectations from you, family, those who invested in you. When you see those things going on, you really want to go into anyhow you make it, but then it's a thing of discipline. Okay, this is it. Subsequently, we still trying to hang on with the hope that things will get better somehow, some way.
The Nigerian government is championing initiatives such as graduate internship programs and financial support for small-scale businesses to address the widespread unemployment. And it hopes such efforts will engage more young people and that the crime rate in the country will drop.
We will now take a short break. Still to come, it's more local and international news. To stay tuned.
The pride we take in our brand, the work we put into constantly change the landscape and elevate real estate in the Gambia, it's compared to none. From inception, our goal was to add value to the beautiful Gambian landscape. That's why we are proud innovators of community estates. Kololi Sands is an exceptional piece of work, tailored for ultimate convenience and luxury, to bring you an element of finesse that is rare but unique in its own. This is also our pride and joy, and we welcome you to the exquisite beauty right here in Kololi and right here on the waterfront. Kololi Sands, feel the ocean breeze at your doorstep.
Following the announcement by the Independent Electoral Commission, the IEC, of the dates for the general voter registration scheduled from the 29th of May to 11th July 2021, the National Council for Civic Education, NCCE, reminds the public that voter registration is an integral part of the electoral process, as it is key to franchise as stated in Section 39 of the Constitution, and hence a civic right and a duty for all eligible Gambians. The NCCE therefore encourages every eligible citizen to fully participate in this crucial national exercise, as it is the basis for any credible and participatory election. The National Council for Civic Education informs the public that to register and acquire a voter's card in the upcoming general voter registration exercise, one has to prove your Gambian citizenship by producing one of the following documents as stated in Section 12 of the Elections Act: birth certificate, ID card, passport, or alcalo or district chief attestation. As the Gambia prepares for this very important national exercise, the National Council for Civic Education reminds the public to stay away from any altercation and refrain from the use of abusive language, provocative actions, intimidations, thugs and physical confrontation at all times, as these contravene the laws of the Gambia. The public is encouraged to follow due process to seek redress when the need arises during the period to ensure that peace and stability prevail throughout the process. Voters card is your key to franchise. Register to vote and vote wisely. This message is brought to you by the National Council for Civic Education, NCCE, with support from the United Nations Development Programme.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the News Text on iAfrica TV, and now to the rest of our stories. Male-dominated industries and occupations are particularly vulnerable to reinforcing masculine stereotypes that make it even more difficult for women to excel in them. Women continue to encounter challenges in these industries, as most of the ventures dominated by men are seen by the society as a no-go area for women. But a 20-year-old girl in the Gambia is breaking the barrier, as she believes that harassment from the public for doing a male-dominated work will not distract her from achieving her dream. Details of that in this report by Mariama Cham.
Women have been trying to break away from norms and traditional standards set by society. They have been marching for equal rights and fighting for their rightful place in the world, especially in a job market dominated by men. In the Gambia, society brands women who are into male-dominated areas such as carpentry and masonry as funny and ridiculous. Sophie Sarr, a 20-year-old girl, says she laughs at society ridiculing her for being a female masonry worker. To Sophie, nothing can stop her from practicing the career she chose for herself despite being publicly harassed.
So si nekkee bulee afrit bulee xool boti nit comme doo dem fen.
When you do this kind of work, don't be afraid what people will say or how they will look at you. If you mind those things, you won't progress. I, Sophia, I'm not concerned about what people say because I choose this work for myself. Nobody forces me. People always talk about me. Sometimes people will harass me because of my job, but I don't mind them. I just laugh it off because I know it's my job. No need to stand and confront people. Then I'll be waiting for my time, and I will never get angry either.
The underlying assumptions surrounding gender roles has had a negative effect on organizational culture, putting females at a disadvantage. Sophie says one of the challenges she is faced with in her work is people not willing to pay or not paying her services at all. Sophie also encouraged her mates who have learned the academic side of masonry to make best use of it by implementing what they learn in the classroom.
Gis naa lu bari loo xam ne lu metti la sun kaw parce que am na yenn saa da nga liggéeyaa nit ki du la fay.
As we speak, it is difficult to see many women doing this type of job in the Gambia, though we have some of them. I was in the same class with some other females, and not all of them ended it because they did not want to go to the field to implement what they learned. You cannot only stay with the hard papers, no. You need to go out to the field to do the job. I have seen many things which are really a challenge to us. Because sometimes you will work with someone and the person will not pay you. Sometimes you will call to make a follow-up for your pay, but they won't respond or even reject your calls. Or you have a contract with someone and nothing is left but to get paid. They will be twisting and turning you.
Meanwhile, Sophie's boss, Abdullah Boy, CEO of Wisdom Construction and Business Enterprise, describes Sophie as a hard-working individual.
Since
I started working with her, I discovered a willingness in her. It is something very rare to find among her mates doing such kind of jobs. I was working with many others when I was at Inside Training as a center manager, but I have not seen someone so kind like her. One thing about her is that she does most of the jobs given to her, no matter the type. She always has her own way of making it work. She needs more encouragement and motivation in what she is doing. So the only way Sophie can be encouraged and motivated is to support her to further her studies to higher levels, as she already has a certificate in construction.
Sophie Sarr did many other jobs like plumbing, electrician and many others before she finally took masonry as a career in which she has been engaging for the past 4 years. The 20-year-old thanked her family for allowing her to take masonry as a career, as she recognizes their support since the beginning. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
That's an inspirational story there. Now, the price of maize is in the increase in South Africa despite bumper domestic harvest. South Africa's consumer food prices rose by 6.3% year-on-year, the highest level since July 2017. Detail of that in this report.
Analysts say there are several reasons for these elevated maize prices: regional and global demand and the local exchange rate to the US dollar.
Now, the exchange rate has been firming. If you compare where we are this year in the rand to the dollar compared to last year, these are stronger levels, which means that they point to a potential decline in prices. And in terms of a demand, Southern Africa demand, which was one of the key factors that was driving prices last year, is now very weak this year, with Zimbabwe having record harvest, Malawi good harvest, and across the Southern Africa region.
The impact of rising maize prices on South African consumers has been pronounced. They're not alone.
but also it's adding the increasing input cost pressures on the producers of the livestock sector as well as the poultry sectors. As early as mid-May, companies like Astral Foods in South Africa were already signaling that they might be rising poultry prices because of the higher input costs which are coming from the grain. So for consumers in the near term, this shows that there will be those increasing pressures.
If estimates are accurate and the South African maize crop is a good one, it's good news for the country.
As the harvest picks up momentum, we could see maize prices softening to an extent that we estimate South Africa's food price inflation for the year to average around 5.5%.
While those prices are soaring because of international pressures, it's likely that consumers here will feel a bit of relief towards the end of the year.
In South Africa brings us to today's edition of the News Text. Join us for more news. I'm Maize. Many thanks indeed for the pleasure of your company, and do have a nice day. Bye-bye.
They say we slept in one world and woke up in another. This global tragedy got humans together despite our social distancing. Our nature is taking a break. And giving us a wake-up call on what and who truly matters. Look around you. Hold on. Breathe. Count your blessings. Take time for self-renewal, for a better start tomorrow. Soon, life will be back. Meanwhile, let's stand apart together, with one heart.
Africa Global is the first and biggest private estate developer in the Gambia and presence in